Well, I'm joined now in the studio to discuss this by Matthew Saltmarsh from the UN Refugee Agency, and alongside him Adam Lake from the International Rescue Committee. Thank you very much to both of you for coming in. Adam, I know you just got back from those camps, those refugee camps just inside Bangladesh. Just paint us a picture of what it's like there.
I think the thing that really strikes you when you arrive is the scale of the problem. The Kutupalong camp, which is the one that we just saw, has massively expanded. I walked around the perimeter and this new area of the new camp is absolutely full of people. And whereas in the central part of the camp you are seeing some water, some sanitation, in the newer parts that's just not happening. But beyond food and water, the thing that really struck me, that's really stuck with me since coming back, is the level of trauma. You see women holding babies, holding up 3 fingers, saying that they've lost the other 2. They're telling us stories of their children's throats being slit. Many of them have been raped on the journey to the camps. So, we're seeing a massive trauma problem here, and I think that's where we need some real expertise to address.
And Matthew, UNHCR has dealt with so many huge refugee crises over the years. How does this compare?
Well, it's in terms of the scale, it's enormous, as you mentioned in the report, getting close to 1 million Rohingya now displaced, and it's happened over a very short period of time. So this latest wave of 600,000 has been since August the 25th. So in terms of the speed and the volume, it is definitely right up there in terms of displacement and refugee crises.
And Adam, just for those people who haven't been following this story, what are these people fleeing from? Why are they so terrified of staying in Myanmar?
We've just done an assessment. It's only the second assessment of the camps to look at the need. And it shows that only 11% want to go back, which is remarkably low in these sorts of situations. When you're there, you can see why. The cases of rape and murder, these are not just a few stories that you hear. These are the stories that you're getting from every single person that you speak to. When hearing these stories, you only look over at the hills, you can see Myanmar, the smoke is still coming out. These people have walked for many miles. These things have happened only a few days ago to them. They've been chased out of their homes.
Is it ethnic cleansing? That's what it's being described as.
I think in every way. I think that rape is being used as a weapon. The men have been killed. The villages have been burnt. So there's nothing for them to go back to. So this really, what has happened to these people is a way of completely taking any sense of dignity away. And I think that is why, beyond food and water, support for women and girls, gender-based violence, this is really, really important, because these are the scars that are being felt within the camps.
Matthew, what can the world do? There's this appeal for money. How much is needed? How much has been promised?
So there was a pledging conference today in Geneva where international donors gathered, and pledges for 340 million approximately were made in an appeal that had asked for 440 million. So that's a significant amount of money. That appeal runs through till February next year, but of course that's only 6 months, and the problem will continue beyond that, so more funds will be needed. But of course that is generous. When we look at other appeals that we've made in places like in Africa, in parts of the Middle East, there are much lower levels of commitments have been made.
So what will that money, a lot of cash as you were saying, what will that be spent on exactly?
Well, that money will go on humanitarian aid. As Adam mentioned, the needs are absolutely enormous, starting with shelter, so bringing in shelter supplies so that the extension of the camp can actually become a reality, building roads, food and nutrition. There's a big health campaign underway right now, 700,000 people. The plan is to inoculate them against cholera, water and sanitation, digging latrines and tube wells, and making sure that there's clean water, and so on. So the whole range of humanitarian support.
And Adam, from your experience there in the last few days, this is something that's just going to keep going, is it? I mean, 1 million people already who've come into Bangladesh. Will there be more? Will there be thousands, maybe tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands more?
Well, even on the day that I left, you see people quite literally coming in by the truckload. Today's announcement is obviously welcome news, but money only goes so far. What we really need is greater access. Bangladesh has a fantastic NGO charity background, and support is there, but it's stretched to capacity.
I mean, Bangladesh is overwhelmed by this crisis.
It is. We heard some cases of local charities. They've seen their funding increase by 1,000 times. Now, that is not a good news story. That can push some organisations to breaking point, which is why organisations like the International Rescue Committee are there to try and add that support, because through training local people we can make sure that support is continued, because this is a problem that's not going to go away.
OK, well, thank you so much for being with us. Adam Lake there from the International Rescue Committee and Matthew Saltmarsh from UNHCR. Thanks for your time.